This episode is brought to you by Keeley. Keeley pedals, Keeley electronics, Keeley music, whatever they're going by these days. They're making great pedals. They just came out with the Compressor Plus. Came out July 5th. Has that date come and gone yet, Steve? On the airing of this?
No, it doesn't come out for 2 more days.
Okay. In 2 days, go buy the Compressor Plus by Keeley. I've got one. I got to do a demo of it. It's super great. And it's $70 cheaper than their previous compressor model. And it's improved. It's a lot better. It's got a blend control. It's got an attack release switch that lets you choose between singles and humbuckers so that your compressor is dialed in perfectly with your guitar. It's got a really nice little tone control on there. It's just a really easy to use compressor that sounds really good. I like the way it makes the higher end parts of my chords pop out of the mix a little better. My chording isn't as muddy when I'm using this compressor. I like the way it evens out my lead playing. That's what compressors do, right? I think it's great. I'm a big fan of it, and I'm a big fan of the price, so go check it out. This episode is also brought to you by Walrus Audio, makers of the Iron Horse version 2. It's a super great LM308 style pedal, which is code for a Rat style pedal.
Rat style.
It's improved on the previous Iron Horse.
Yeah, we've got a extended tonal range. We've got a little extended gain range. I guess it's not really extended. It's just maybe extended on the low side of the gain range.
Yeah, so the low gain is extended.
So you can dial in that overdrivey sound that the Rat style pedals can be actually known for. And the volume knob has been adjusted to make it easier to dial in unity.
Yeah, I always heard that the original Iron Horse it just had a really touchy volume knob. It was a little hard to find unity on it. And the version 2 is very smooth. I have no problem dialing in unity with it. It's a nice smooth volume sweep on there. And it's just a great sounding pedal. It's easily in my top Rat style pedals list. It's up there.
How long is your list?
2 or 3.
Okay, cool.
It's in there. It's in the top 2 or 3. I'll say it. It's a really good pedal. It's a really good distortion pedal. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's a good bass, not bass guitar, but bass tone sort of pedal.
Yeah.
Like you slather down a little bass layer of distortion and then stack other things on top of it. It's the beans in the 7-layer bean dip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walrus Audio Iron Horse version 2. It's the bean in your 7-layer bean dip. This episode is also brought to you by Sinusoid Cables, makers of cables and smiles.
Look, you've heard us say a lot of things about Sinusoid, so we're not going to say any other things about them. Just go check out their site. If you're looking for a custom cable, they've got a custom cable builder, and you will love it.
Yeah.
The end.
Other podcasts say that Sinusoid Cables are the vampires of cables because they last 100 years. We say they're the pet parrot of cables because they last 100 years. You decide, vampires or parrots, which would you prefer living in your house?
For 100 years.
Hey, this is Ryan.
And this is Steve, and you are listening to 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, training, fixing, modding, breaking, reviewing, playing.
What are we?
Guitar.
What's the next one?
Buying, selling, trading, fixing, modding, breaking, reviewing, playing. Podcast.
It's a podcast. That's what we are. I
thought I left one out. I don't think I did.
I thought we were writing a newspaper over here. Turns out we're a podcast.
Yeah. The guitar buying, selling, trading, fixing, modding, breaking, reviewing, playing newspaper. All right.
What's new, Steve?
What's new is we got a little package from TC Electronic not too long ago.
I walked through the door today, and my wife was like, "You got something from Norway?" What is it? Norway or the Netherlands?
Excuse me, I think they're in the Netherlands.
It's the Netherlands. So you got something from the Netherlands. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I saw the box, and I instantly knew what it was. It was a box from TC Electronic containing the new Hall of Fame 2 and their new tremolo pedal, the Pipeline. Steve's going to hold up a picture and show it to me. Oh my gosh.
All right, sorry. Somebody just posted something funny on the Facebook group.
Okay.
If you're not on the Facebook group, you should join.
So, anyways, I've got these two new pedals in. We cracked open the Hall of Fame 2 and messed around with the mash feature up in the music room.
It works a lot differently. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. I was excited about it.
I sounded really like unenthused. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'll say this. When it's on the shimmer setting and you're messing with the mash control, you can really dial in this perfect like Star Trek The Next Generation theme song sound.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So a lot of... there's been
Or
a
is
lot,
that original series? It's original series.
Yeah. There's been a lot of speculation about what the mash button does. It's really interesting because I guess the way I would describe it is you push the button down to your stomp switch to engage. You push it down again, and the last like maybe 10-20% of the push down is I guess maybe it's like 10%.
I think it's slimmer than that.
You think it's slimmer than that? Anyway, the last like very bottom part of your push down is pressure sensitive. So what the mash then does, the closest thing I could compare it to is kind of like the Havoc setting on Caroline pedals.
Well, what it is,
because what it does is it seems like it's taking a one of the parameters, but it's not maxing it out the way that the Havoc maxes out a parameter. What it's doing is it's jumping you to the last 5 or 10% of that. And if you're mashing it all the way down, you're like at 100%.
Well, what
but
it
you
is,
can flow a little.
It's a pressure sensitive expression vector, like an expression control. Like there's a light on there, and you can look at the light and see it brighten and dim based on the pressure you're giving it. So it is like a fully sweepable pressure control. It's not an on-off sort of thing.
No.
But you really got to lay into this thing. Like it takes if you're like like a little kid, you're not very heavy, you're not going to be able to engage this thing all the way. Like I was really leaning into this thing, and I'm a big dude. But it makes some incredible sounds.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I guess part of my criticism of it is like I feel like you really got to be on point to use it. Like you really got to be like working with it.
I mean,
but the flip side of that is I feel like if you're playing the kind of music that requires like that wants your reverb to sound that way, you're probably not like flying around the room smashing things. You're probably pretty focused on getting your tones the way you want them.
Sure. Well, I really want to get my hands on the new flashback with the mash control, just because I already do like time racking on delay pedals for some of my songs in Dinosaur Ghost. To have it be just an instantly accessible foot control without putting an expression pedal on my board is really attractive to me. So even if it's like a single use sort of thing, I'm stoked to try that out in the future. So I've got these two pedals in from TC. I'm going to do demo work with them. I haven't even cracked open the pipeline yet, but I'm really excited to try their delay pedal. I mean their tremolo pedal and get into like the tone print stuff with it and really like dial in like really weird like unique tremolo settings and the unique reverb settings. I want to see if I can make that make the Hall of Fame drip, get a surf rock sound of it.
It sounded like with at least the stock spring setting, it started to do it a little like all the way up.
It does a pre-delay thing on it. I wasn't hearing any drip on it. I'm wondering if I could trick one of the other settings into doing something similar, because if there's all these extra like mash control things in there might be something funky in there.
Well, and it does have 3 tone prints too.
Exactly.
So, which I think the Hall of Fame, the original one, only had 1 tone print. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a cool new thing, I guess. If you have, if you have multiple tone prints you want to use, obviously, like that's a feature that you're looking forward to.
Absolutely. So that's what's new with me, with us, anyways. We both own these pedals now.
Right.
Do we want to jump straight into an ad?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't know. Let's do it. I don't know why not.
We're both having rough weeks. We're kind of drained right now. So bear with us, guys.
It's been real hot here. It's been like in the high 70s.
Oh, just it's been just scorching in the high 70s.
I mean, it even like tickled the low to mid 80s a couple days.
Oh, those were a rough couple days.
So
We had to turn on the AC for like an hour.
Oh,
or two.
that was a new thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I got the AC in my car fixed.
I know everyone's
like,
been like just talking about it and asking about it. How's the AC in Steve's car?
We
have an update. We have an update.
2 years since I've had an functioning air conditioner in my car, and they take off the thing and they're like, because I tried to just do a recharge. I bought a recharge kit from Pet Boys and it didn't work.
Pet Boys.
Pet Boys. Remember when they used to like advertise Pet Boys with the brothers?
Yeah.
Like they were the Stooges, but they were the Pet Boys.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so I got this AC recharge kit and it didn't work. Come to find out that there is a hole in my condenser. And
all the juice just leaked
They're
out?
like, oh, you must have just like hit something or something. And then so they get the car up and they're looking around. They're like, oh yeah, no, you definitely hit something. My radiator was like cracked.
Oh, shoot.
It had a big old gash in it.
What, did you run into a bird or something?
My guess is again, a couple years ago, I hit a box spring on the freeway.
Oh, there it is, Steve. You did it.
So I'm guessing that's what it was, but it was gnarly. Just this big old hole in the bottom of my radiator. So yeah, I had to get a new one. So I got a new radiator, got my AC fixed.
Oh, whoa, you trashed that thing.
And yeah, it was.
How were you still driving around? The radiator wasn't leaking?
Yeah, it wasn't like the radiator wasn't leaking. It was just all damaged.
You got to post that picture into the show description.
It's like all damaged to like just the front vent, like the.
I'm surprised that didn't crack and leak.
So I don't know. It seemed like my car was always fine.
What is this, Car Talk?
I know. But anyway,
you listen to 60 Cycle Hum, the Car Talk podcast.
The first thing I did like the next day, even though it wasn't super hot yet, is I got in my car and I cranked it. I was like, yeah.
Did you sleep in there that night?
I thought about it. No. So that was exciting, and I don't know. That's it. I don't have to roll the windows down everywhere I go.
Nice.
That's it. All right, let's get to this first ad.
This first ad was sent to us by Co Schneider.
Hi, Co.
As of recording this podcast, we're going to be going to his one-day event tomorrow. This isn't useful information to anyone.
No,
because
it's not, because this episode's coming
over.
out like 12 days after, or 16 days after the event.
But if you live anywhere on the West Coast, look up one-day events. Co might drive to your city sometime soon.
That's true. All right, this ad was sent by Co. It's a Ibanez OD9 Overdrive 1983, serial number 389010 from Japan. It is $5,990.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Plus $25 shipping. You think at $5,990 you could throw in shipping for free?
I know, right? Well, they really got to get that high insurance shipping, you know?
So basically, this guy says that the OD9, this is OD9 second year, near mint with box and manual. The holiest rare Ibanez pedal there is, released only in one small batch in France from 1982 to 1984. Basically an OD50 board. What you have here is an Ibanez triangle / ram head big muff. Interesting. It says, check out our YouTube video where this pedal is featured in our upcoming release of the track Song 2 or 4 by the infamous and utterly abject rock trio, the Beverly Hills Dildo Cleaners.
Oh, you know, that classic band that we've all heard of.
So there is, I guess this is supposed to be a pedal that doesn't exist.
Right.
But so the thing that's really weird about it, about saying that this thing doesn't exist, is that
this shop on Reverb has a bunch of them.
Yeah. So there's another site that says produced in extremely small quantity, or they link to another site and say, or they quote another site and say, rumor has it all OD9s were built for the French market only. The owner's manual is only in French, which is also, that actually is interesting. But this store has 6 of them, ranging in price from $1,190 all the way up to $5,990.
If I was going to buy one of these, like I absolutely had to buy one of them, I'd get the cheaper one.
Yeah, that seems like that makes sense.
Why do they range in price like this? And
I have no idea.
Why
Now-
is one even $1,100, $1,200? Like, why is it that expensive? Let alone $6,000.
It seems like you'd have to really be like into this.
I've never heard of this
I don't
pedal up to
know.
this day. It's not like it's like the Klon where it's like everyone was like, "Oh, we really want these," and the guy just stopped making them.
You know what? Somebody put one of these on Reverb recently, and it's sold for $400.
This guy is trying to just take advantage of us here, charging $6,000.
You know, maybe he's just trying to. He has all of these up here. Maybe he's buying them himself and then trying to drive the market
Oh,
up.
it's a big scam. He's like, there's only so many of these. I'll buy them. I'll make them look super expensive so that the ones I have will sell for more eventually.
Hey, if that's really what's going on here,
More
game respect game.
Yeah, more power to you, Mr. Flipper. We understand your game
But that's
now.
crazy.
It is crazy. Like, this guy is trying to artificially grow the market for this obscure pedal. Just because it's rare doesn't mean anyone wants it. Like, I've never heard of it up to this moment. Like, audience members, people listening right now, jump on the Facebook group and tell us if you'd heard of this pedal and if it deserves this kind of price tag on it. Because I just don't think so. Like, there can't be anything in this pedal worth this amount of money. And it says, the guy says, like, it's like a big muff style sound. Why is it called an Overdrive 9, an OD9?
Well, because
If it's a fuzz sound.
I don't know. Here's what I don't understand. Here's a Maxon OD9. Aren't they supposed to be the same?
Probably. It's all, like, the value of it is all predicated on it just being rare. He doesn't say, like, oh, this is the best sound and you'll only get this sound from this pedal.
You know, I think the Maxon OD9 is what became the Tube Screamer, though.
Okay.
All right.
know, man.
Anyway,
It's not-
this is just crazy. If you guys know more about these OD9s, if you've ever played one and can attest to its muffness, let us know, because we definitely aren't really seeing a ton on here, but we would love to hear from people who have used them.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this might be controversial.
Ooh.
But for $1,200 to $6,000, I'm going to say that this pedal is a no buy. Don't buy it.
Thanks, Kramer.
All right, let's move on to our topic, which is kind of it's the product that came up. Someone posted it on the Facebook group, and I just saw it today.
Yeah, we're talking about the Mission pedal power brick.
It's a USB pedal power brick.
Yeah.
It's your standard looking, kind of like pedal power source. It's got, some 9-volt plugs on the side.
Yeah.
But the trick is that it runs off of USB plugs. Like, you plug this into your computer, you plug it into like a USB connection on your laptop or wherever else, and that's what you use to power your pedals, which I think is a really interesting concept.
Yeah, there's depending on what the cost is, there's some interesting applications here. Mm-hmm. I've got some questions.
Sure.
I guess this is so you don't have to have any kind of proprietary large. You think about, so the output here is 4 by 150 milliamps and then a single 500 milliamp. That's what it says. It's isolated. But what I'm thinking is, if that's all you need, who doesn't have? You can buy like one of those little USB cubes and a USB cable for like $5.
Yeah.
Versus, a proprietary power supply where if it breaks, like, you're going to have to buy a new one, and it's probably going to be like $30 to replace that power supply.
I was thinking that this is kind of like a DIY Volto, like the pedal train Volto, where it's
the difference with the Volto is that,
it's its own battery.
Right.
And it's like when the battery is shot, then it's shot. This is just the power supply, and you can get any cheap USB battery to run your pedals off of. So you could even like like I've been running my Zoom H6 here off of this Amazon battery that I have that works freaking great. Like imagine you have a travel pedal board, you have this power source on it, you just plug in a fresh USB USB battery when you want to use it, and maybe you have a couple of them and you swap them in and out like when they start to go bad on the road, you know?
One of the things I would be interested in is seeing how well the plugs are isolated, because in one application that would be really cool, which actually you talked about when we were doing our pre-app, is that this could be a really cool tool to keep on your desk, on a computer desk.
The way I run my desk now is I've got the Katana sitting next to my computer desk, and so I sit there and I practice and I try pedals out when they come in and stuff like that. They're at the desk before I move to filming them in my like music space. It'd be great to have a power supply like this where I can just plug in a couple pedals and run it off my computer and not have to have another wall wart hiding behind a desk somewhere.
So the concern I would have and they, again, they say it's isolated, so you wouldn't think this would be an issue. But I've used other USB powered audio devices. They always have a ton of noise on the line.
Like if you're getting noise from
the computer.
Like from the computer, yeah.
Well, I've used like USB powered speakers, like things like that. They just are
That's terrible. A good question. I mean, I think using an external battery, like the Volto concept, I don't think you're going to get that. But
no, I think it would be specific to a computer.
Plugging into a computer or a laptop, something that's plugged into the wall as well, there might be a noise issue. I mean, Mission is known for making really, high-end stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd hope that they'd have that sorted out. But then also, here's my next question. How much is this thing going to cost?
Right. And they don't list a price here. It is called the Mission Power 529. So hopefully it's not $529. No, I don't think that would be why they would call it that. But this product isn't slated to hit shelves until September. So no pricing information, at least, is available on their website right now. From a conceptual, I think if I had the right reason to use this, it would be cool.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think about the way that I use pedals, and I don't see 5 outputs. I guess that's cool. I'm thinking about the only other times I've demoed pedals per se, if I've done a live stream, I've only just used a single pedal, so I've just pulled out one. I've one spot or what they call Power All that I use for that. But again, that's only good for doing one pedal. If I wanted to do 3 or 4, then I'd either have to find a daisy chain or whatever. This is obviously very compact.
I like the thought of using it for demo work because I'm often plugging into some kind of power supply that's plugged into the wall. Yeah. And certain days, depending on what's going on with solar storms or whatever, I just can't get rid of noise that's coming. Right.
Well, it could also give you some really interesting options for locational, because I know basically the bulk of the demo work that you've been doing is our simpler demo style. But if someone wanted to be hey, can you do something crazy? I want you to actually record this in the middle of a cornfield.
Oh, sure.
You'd still have to figure out the amp though.
Yeah, I'd get one of those new 7-watt katanas.
Yeah.
The battery powered katanas.
Yeah, maybe I'm not thinking far enough forward, but
yeah.
Overall, I think it'll be interesting to see how many people use these.
The price is what it's really going to come down to for me. If this thing is affordable, it might end up being part of my rig in the future.
Yeah, I do like this as a kind of a fly idea of, you're saying as a fly rig solution. If you're going on a business trip or something, you're already probably carrying some kind of cell phone battery. I know when we went to NAMM, I got to have the Antec, and when Melissa went to Disneyland, she wanted it, and I've used it for a lot of different things. So that could be you've already got one of those things, so you could use it for this purpose.
Most pedals don't draw that much power.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's the other thing I would wonder is, what is the how does the pedal draw the constant pedal draw compared to like an iPhone or like the H, so like
Sure.
the H6, right? So the H6, you're running 2 mics, both with phantom power. What do you normally get out of the battery, like out of
Well, you also have to consider that there's a full color LCD screen on this
Sure,
thing.
sure. Oh, I'm saying considering the H6 as an entire unit
Yeah,
plus
yeah.
the mics.
I get days off of that battery.
Okay.
It runs for days.
So if you can do days off of that, like I'm sure the H6 is generating like is a pretty big power consumer. So yeah, that's kind of
I mean,
actually pretty neat.
Running off of the double A's that it has a compartment for.
Right.
If I'm running phantom power, then that's like 3 hours
Sure.
off of double A's.
But like your battery here is a
Yeah, it lasts for days.
much higher deal.
Yeah, I forget the last times I recharge it because I need to recharge it so rarely. But this is a bigger pack. Like I'm betting you could run a pedal board off of one of those smaller USB batteries for sure. And then you get 2 or 3 of them, throw a little Velcro on there, you stick it to your board, and you swap them out as you need them. And there's as I was hinting at earlier, there's just such a practical angle to using batteries for pedals versus plugging into the wall. Like you erase a lot of noise issues that people are trying to deal with all the different isolated versions of things like that, all the isolated versions of pedal powers. Like once you go battery, like you erase those issues, especially if you're running a really small simple board that's just fuzzes and drives and maybe like a simple delay or something like that. Like I think it's a great concept.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to doing an ad. We've talked about that thing enough.
This ad was sent by Jesse Micah Emery. It's for a Robin Ranger. Says 1993 Robin Ranger, Robin Guitars Ranger, candy orange, handmade in Houston, Texas, $1,100. 1993 Robin, excellent condition and perfect playing order. Comes with the original hard case. This beautiful combination of Stratocaster and Telecaster is made in the USA. Right in Houston, Texas. It's over its 24 years of life. It's obtained some minor character marks on the fretboard beneath the B string at the 17th fret. There's a small ding in the maple fretboard, as well as a subtle mare in the 17th fret. Is that what's this?
I don't know.
How do you have a subtle mare? They're pretty big.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it can be felt while playing. It can't be felt while playing. How do you not feel a mare on the 17th fret?
What is a mare? Are we talking about a horse here?
It's a female horse.
There's a horse on this guitar?
That's what it says.
I don't know, man. Sounds weird to me.
Well, anyway, it says it doesn't cause any playing issues. The back of the body has some very subtle and sparse buckle rush just below the through body string ferrules on the treble side of the back plate. Man, that is a very guitar geographical description. Constructed from most likely an alder body with rear body contour and finish in candy orange, a gorgeous flame maple neck with equally as gorgeous flame maple fretboard, 22 extra jumbo frets, carved bone nut, black Spursel tuning keys loaded with a set of Rio Grande pickups, 5-way pickup selector, master volume and master tone control, and a Telecaster style input jack on the treble side lower bout of the body. The neck profile is
it's still going, Steve? Oh, geez. Okay.
The neck profile is as extreme of a V as the headstock. The neck is not only a slim V profile, it's also asymmetrical and finished with high gloss. Whatever. Okay, we're done. 7 pounds, 14 ounces.
I've seen Robin guitars and Robin Rangers before. I've never seen one with this headstock. Is that like the Gibson Futura style headstock? Gibson had a weird headstock they were running for a while.
It's similar to it. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's definitely similar.
I'm going to try to find that Gibson headstock. Weird Gibson headstock. Let's see what comes up.
Was it the Futura? Is that the one that you're thinking of?
The Modern.
Oh,
It's kind of a nod to that weird V-shaped Modern headstock that they use.
This
sometimes.
company's still around, actually. Robin Guitars.
Well, the thing I always think about when I see a Robin guitar around is just how completely the Fender Squire, what was it called,
The 51.
the 51 ripped off the pickguard design from Robin.
But that pickguard design was already a Fender design.
Was it?
Yeah.
But it was on their basses though, wasn't it? On the Tele bass?
Sure.
But they moved it over to a guitar and then Fender took it back, I guess.
I guess. So, I kind of get the argument, but I don't know. Is that a thing that you just think, or are there people who are like,
It's what I think. I'm sure there's other people who think it too.
it's definitely like an old that's a Telecaster based pickguard.
Right. But they moved it over to guitar, this Robin brand moved that design over to guitars, which makes sense because they typically do the Strat style bodies that have Telecaster bridge pickups in them.
Right. I get what you're saying. It does look like that, and especially because this thing exists, and then the 51 exists, and
it's got the same control plate too.
Yeah,
That half Telecaster plate.
right. But again, that's like an old Telecaster.
I know.
deal.
It just feels a little weird.
I've never seen these before. It looks like their headstocks are just like all over the map.
Yeah, they kind of experimented with a lot of different things, but this is definitely the weirdest headstock I've ever seen on one.
I almost wonder, even though it's a completely different visual design, I wonder if this headstock is in violation of Music Man's 4x2 patent.
Maybe.
Because I'm pretty sure only Music Man guitars have the 4x2.
You've said that before. I don't think that's true.
I've heard that it's considered their signature look and that they own it.
I think that this is far enough out there that they wouldn't be able to pursue anything. Also, it seems like this is a one-off. I think Robin Guitars was like kind of like a boutique, like one-off each time sort of deal. I might be wrong on that. Maybe they had production guitars, but I think they were mostly custom.
Yeah, I just did a Google search for Robin Guitars Ranger, and I haven't seen that fret or that headstock on any other body.
No.
Except for the one that's for sale.
I like it. I would play this guitar.
Yeah, it's real funky looking. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I would definitely play guitar with that headstock. I really like the way it's paired with the Strat body too. There's just something really funky going on there. I think it's a cool look. I mean, there's another one. Is that a Robin too?
Yeah.
But that's a totally different body shape.
Yeah, so they got one that's more of a, I found on the Google Images search, one that's more of a, how would you have described that body shape?
Kind of like, it is more of a Gibson shape, but I want to...
It's almost like a Firebird.
It's almost like a Schecter take on a Firebird, you know?
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing going on. But yeah, $1,100 for this. It looks like the price is in line with what you should expect to pay for a 90s a Robin Ranger.
Yeah, so the Robin Ranger as a whole, like those are all Stratocasters, and in turn, it looks like they all just have different, like some of them have that pickguard and some of them don't.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think they're all one-offs, so they're all kind of all over the map.
Right.
On what you want.
They're like more of a made-to-order.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure. I could be super wrong about this brand, but that's always the impression I had.
Now everything I'm seeing on that as the Ranger has that pickguard, so maybe the other one I found somebody swapped it out.
Maybe. But anyways, go to the episode description and look at the picture.
Yeah, it's
a cool
crazy.
headstock. Yeah. All right. Do we want to tackle the topic?
Let's do this topic.
Who posted this? They posted it to the Inner Circle.
I believe it was Adam Dolhanick. He asked, what kills brands?
And we had an in-depth conversation on the Inner Circle that we won't reference here, where we talk about very specific brands and drama in the gear community and things like that.
But, this is basically talking about what kills brands. Well, sometimes you have a brand that is around for a hot minute. Actually, the ones that I'll name one of the ones that he was interested in, which was Mad Professor.
You just don't hear anything from him anymore.
Yeah. and I don't know why that is, but Mad Professor for a long time was like, if you wanted a tube screamer, everyone was like, oh, don't get a tube screamer, get a Little Green Wonder from Mad Professor. Like that was the go-to. Now I know one thing that has hurt Mad Professor, though I don't think it's the reason that you don't hear as much from them, is that they became a popular enough pedal that they were getting cloned a lot. So there were a lot of Mad Professor fakes. I've seen a lot of like.
So you think they went Charlie and they went Chocolate Factory? They like closed up shop and like.
I don't think they closed up shop.
Went, like,
I mean,
went
I don't
secret underground with their Oompa Loompas.
I don't know what they're doing. I just know that I've seen a lot of like fake Little Green Wonders and Deep Blue delays on the market. And so I know that's something as a consumer that could make me wary, at least of buying them on the used market.
Sure.
Obviously, if I bought from them new, then that wouldn't be a concern. So for them, like, I just don't know. Like, I think there are certain companies that they get a foothold and then they just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time when a new hype machine comes up.
Sure.
And
I
lose
think
traction because of that.
I think there's the root of that point is that the market shifts.
Yeah.
You know, like new things become popular or something better comes out. And so like the flagship that floats some company is dethroned and they just kind of fade away from it.
Yeah.
And they can never find a footing again.
I think even along those lines, like sometimes the market doesn't really shift as much as somebody just learns how to manipulate it better. Like somebody new comes in who can manipulate it better than you. And I wonder sometimes how much of it is driven by the people who, especially now, like the people you get to like demo your stuff.
Sure.
Or the people that you can get to like name drop you is social media driven. One of the conversations we have a lot with people, with listeners and in the Facebook group is really talking about like, you know, the question that's on every gear forum: who's your favorite demoer? Who's your favorite, YouTube guitar player or whatever? And so there are those guys out there who, if you send them a pedal, like if you can work your way into Andy's schedule at Pro Guitar Shop, like you basically just guaranteed yourself like 1,000, 10,000 sales. I don't know.
Oh, I doubt I think, certain products sell themselves. I think a lot of people that are smaller builders send stuff to Andy and they get, it's not just all Andy, it's in all Pro Guitar Shop.
Right.
It's also like the product itself has to be interesting enough for people to actually look it up. So I think small builders are going to see return from that, but it's not going to be like the return that like Boss sees when Andy demos, like the new the RV 500. Like I'm sure Andy's going to sell them, 10,000
Yeah,
of those.
that's a good point.
Where
too.
and like if Fuzz Rocha sends Andy something, maybe I have no idea. I'm just pulling numbers on.
But
my
I mean,
butt.
like that.
But maybe they'll sell 100.
I guess that's the kind of traction though. So I guess maybe what I mean is, if say you had an expectation of 0 sales,
right.
So you have the option of sending a pedal to Andy, or sending it to, or doing the demo yourself.
Yeah,
like sending it to Andy is like working some angle, or say you want to release it on your own, so you bring in, I don't know, somebody interesting, Mateus Asato or a James Duke or something, one of these guys that's like at least a semi-recognizable name or a recognizable name in a lot of gear groups, where you can now go onto a forum, or you can have them like tweet it, like, hey, I just did this demo for this guy, check out this video, and they tweet it, and just by having a great demo player or a great, like not even necessarily a reviewer, but somebody who's like recognizable, shilling your product,
right?
Not even using shilling in a negative sense, but just as a representing it, is going to benefit your brand, and it's going to get you in the consciousness of players. I guess so. Not even from.
Why are we on this?
Because we're talking about what kills brands, and what I'm saying is like I'm looking at it from a marketing angle of it's not just like sometimes getting your name out there is finding the right people. There are companies that are known for their in-house demos because the guys who work in the shop who also do their in-house demos are phenomenal players.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think we're doing work for Walrus Audio, but they I think have a decent reputation for also putting out good in-house demos. Whereas like EHX, honestly, like I've heard a lot of people be like, yeah, their demos. I don't watch their demos. I watch other people demoing their stuff because people don't think their demos are very good.
Well, a lot of times they're just like you don't get the information you want out of them.
that could be a thing too. Yeah.
And what I've experienced is getting into being a demo guy and stuff is the companies that produce their own demos and do them well. It's because they value demos and they also hire out other demo guys.
Right.
Like they don't go like, oh, we have our own demo team and that's just it. They're like, demos work. Let's get as many demos going as we can because it works for us. And they hire out to other people. Where then there's other companies that don't have in-house demos and they don't hire demos.
Yeah.
And they just don't see value in it, I guess.
So I mean, that's one point. I mean, I don't know, marketing, aesthetics, having rich parents. I don't know. These are all things that can affect whether or not your brand survives. Things that are simpler, like...
Well, you're asking a different question now. You're asking what makes a brand survive.
Well, I'm saying if you're not surviving, then you're killed, right? So
I guess so.
Surviving is, if you're not killed, then you're surviving. If you're killed, you're not surviving. They're the same. They're two different ways of approaching the same problem.
Different sides of the same coin.
Right. So I think about it as
Well, I think that's an interesting angle.
Concrete things that can kill brands. Lack of communication. Lack of communication, especially when the product is delayed or the product...
Sure.
Or
the product is like on a custom level. There's pedal builders out there who have had a lot of bad press because they do, various, customizations and things like that. And they get backlog and it's hard to keep up with that.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with some backlash and people complaining like, how come I've been waiting for weeks and months and a year?
Yeah,
things that.
It's kind of a crazy thing, but like,
I'm trying really hard to not name names.
Right. I think
that's not the point.
I think there are a good number of brands that like they are their own marketing, especially small companies. The operator, whoever is the face of the brand, becomes synonymous. And again, like,
sure.
I use them as an example because they're our sponsor. Actually, we have a couple companies, literally, Keeley Electronics.
It's his name.
It's his name. Right now, I would say like Colt from Walrus Audio. Like he's pretty synonymous. Like when I think of Walrus Audio, I think of Colt. Like that's just what's in my head. So there is
that might just because we have dealings with him.
But he's also the running the company right now,
right,
as far as I know. So you have that, and so if all of a sudden one of these guys, and in this case maybe they're not the best example anymore because these are they're more established companies. But if you're a small brand where you're the face of your brand, and all of a sudden like quality starts suffering, or product starts shipping late or whatever issue, and people, because you're the face, they're also like interacting with you not just from the brand side but also on a personal level. So the product's slipping, but you're posting photos of your Hawaiian vacation and 3 weeks after your Hawaiian vacation, while they're still waiting for their product, you're posting photos of your like Canadian adventure or whatever. Like,
this sounds like a great life you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's great, except you're taking all these vacations on the backs of undelivered product.
Sure,
at least in the eyes of your customer base. Right. And so these are things that
they don't know that you took this vacation because it was planned a year ago.
Right.
And the reason that something hasn't shipped is because you're waiting on some company somewhere else to deliver a widget.
Because whoever was supposed to do your cases had a paint can malfunction that destroyed their painting machine, so you can't get enclosures or whatever, right? So I mean, there's issues like that, but that goes back to the communication thing, where you can put something out and say like, hey, enclosures are delayed for 1 month, so if you're on the list, like This is what's up. Also, like, I'm going to be out of the country for a while, like with doing on some personal business or whatever.
Yeah. It's tough when you are a company owner and you make your personal persona part of your brand.
Right. And that's what I'm
because
saying.
stuff like that becomes visual, you know?
Yeah. And it's something where, these guys can build up their company and build up their reputation. Like, who doesn't want to buy a product from a cool guy?
Oh, totally.
Like,
someone like you. Someone you relate to.
Oh, so yeah. I was going to say someone like
an everyman, you know.
I don't want to buy something from someone like me.
No, I wouldn't buy something from someone like me ever.
But there's definitely like
unless it had to do with like beauty products because it just looks so good.
Yeah. There's definitely like a function there that is kind of just it's kind of interesting to see, like, a lot these brands that build up on the backs of their own social media, on the backs of themselves as being like the face, but then when things fall apart, like they either disappear or things fall apart because they won't disappear, or like these things.
It's tough on the internet now because like things don't go away. Like information's always out there, and people will fight about it forever.
I think the very first thing starts with customer satisfaction. And if you fail to do that, like, you're never going, no matter how good your product is,
sure.
Your customer base isn't going to react well. I mean, for all of the complaints about like Bill Finnegan and Klon and all that stuff, like, the reality is like, he made a product, he put it out there, and then he stopped making the product. So in a sense, maybe not from a personal level, but he kind of like washed his hands of it. Another example of like really managing demand is like Paul Cochran with the Timmy and the Tim. Like, for a while he stopped making the Tim, and I know on at least one form it was basically kind of put out like, yeah, I'm stopped making the Tim so I can focus only on Timmys and getting these all out. And I think he's looking at bringing the Tim back. I saw that a couple months ago. I don't know how that's progressing. But that's another case of somebody who was like a one-man shop, who in his case, like, he knew what the way to regulate his demand level was, like, just not to be accessible. So if you wanted to buy one of those, you had to go on a forum, you had to find him, and you had to pick up the phone and call him, and then he would like talk to you. And that was the funny thing with the Timmy, is it was a pedal that was in production. It was just a slow production.
Right.
I guess it's almost like a less extreme version of the King of Tone, where, like, people are paying like way more than what a new pedal would take, but they didn't have to wait for it. So
yeah, I mean, Cole Duke just sold one
for like $550.
Yeah, that's crazy. It makes me feel like I'm a fool for not getting on the list, for one, but then I don't feel motivated to do it. And what I'm worried, like I said in another thing that we recorded, I'm not a gambler. I think that was last week's episode. Like,
yeah.
Like, what if I'm like you and I get a KTR and it doesn't sell?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if I get a King of Tone like the day after he releases like a mega batch? You know?
So there's different things like that. Again, the service angle is obvious. In the case of brands that fade away, I think it's just a matter of not keeping up, especially in the social media age.
I think that's it. I mean, speaking of one of our sponsors, Keeley, like, he's said in interviews like over and over again, like, that's the story of his company. Like, he came out with a bunch of products that sold really well, and then after a while he rested on his laurels. He was like, oh, I've got these couple mods, I've got a compressor, I've got, this thing. And, his brand just started to suffer after a while, and he wasn't paying attention. And his whole company turned around when he brought new people in and started doing this thing now where they're making like an incredible amount of pedals now. Like, just busting them out, and it completely turned his brand around.
Well,
he was on the edge basically of his company fading into oblivion.
They've also,
from my understanding, anyways,
taken a really weird angle with their advertising campaign right now.
With the meme ads,
all the meme ads. What's the one? The one I've been seeing is like, pedal is considered a vintage classic. only released 10 months ago.
Yeah. They're doing funky stuff over there. They're having fun, and
Yeah.
it's revitalized the brand. And they have, like a whole new wave of products,
Yeah.
and of traction in the industry. It's been pretty great. But they could have been disappeared by now if they hadn't adjusted.
Yeah. Graphics. I mean, I think graphics can be a make or break for some companies.
Sometimes. I wish it would be more. I wish ugly pedals would fail more often.
I think sometimes it's something
and I
where
wish
it's like
that pretty pedals would sound better.
I just think that like maybe it's not as formulaic as you want it to be. I mean, I see it for all the criticism. I guess for every critic I hear of JHS's design, there's someone like me who's like, no, it's perfect.
Oh, I like the really simple little icon.
But a lot of people hate that, and a lot of people are like, if I'm going to pay $170 or whatever for a distortion pedal, you could have at least paid a real graphic designer to put some art on this thing.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like, but that's kind of like that's their look. Like that's what makes it work.
You don't want to break that's their branding. You don't want to break your branding.
Well, so there's people like I've heard that argument a lot. And I'm just like,
I was a big fan of the old Mojo Hand graphics back in the day. The guy who owned it changed the graphics before he sold the company to Cusack. But I liked the original run of graphics on so many other pedals, like the 1-ton B and like the Colossus and stuff like that. They had the full pedal graphic, just really hard black and white, contrasty designs that were just really fantastic. I was a big fan of that. But I don't know. I don't know if graphics really make or break a company.
I think it can. I think if you're making like a truly like
hideous
product that it can. I guess the issue would be that in order to like get to the point where your graphics destroy you, like you have to have actually had success with a different graphic.
I guess
setup. Like you can't just.
I'm trying to. What's a single company that's been hurt that deeply by their graphics on their pedals?
I think a lot of. Well, I don't know if it would be only graphics, but I know like.
I can't think of it, and you'd think I would know this if there was. Such
I
a
feel
thing.
like there's definitely some out there where people like. See the graphic and they either think it looks cheap or like they don't take it as seriously as they might like another brand for one reason or
that
another.
Part is so subjective. I think the reason brands fail or succeed is farther outside that. I think it comes down to what you were talking about earlier, customer service and reacting to your customers. I think it comes down to product supply and delivery. And it comes down to quality control and product reliability.
Yeah.
I think if those things start to fail and you can't keep either of them up, like they're all kind of like legs on the tripod. If one of them fails, you're just out.
Right. All right. Well, while we're on the topic of products that failed, this next ad was sent in by Eric Bailey, posted to the Facebook group. This is a solid state Fender Vibrolux Reverb. SR2035. This is when Fender did this very short run in the late 60s of solid state amps that all just look like air conditioning units.
They look like space station control panels to me.
Yeah, they're really wild looking.
Well, they're like this vertical alignment where you've got two speakers lined up on top of each other, and then the amp control is like this big panel, like at a 45-degree angle facing out at you. I think this is a really cool look. I really like the look. Yeah, personally, I would not mind owning a tube amp that looked like this.
Yeah, no, it's
a nice solid state.
Yeah. So this guy was actually the person who was selling this was asking for $75. Actually, I think it's in a store.
I saw one of these locally for like $400
Really?
on Craigslist, and it was it was like lived by the beach condition.
Interesting.
So $75 on this is a killer deal.
Yeah,
I was telling the guy on Eric Bailey. I was telling him on the Facebook group like $75 is worth it just for furniture.
Yeah, well, I would kind of looked at it from the perspective of I found a YouTube video and it sounded fine in there.
Yeah.
Two, $75 is more money than a lot of us spend on a tuner.
Yeah,
or it's
totally.
Sorry, it's less money than we would like spend on a tuner.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, like depending on your situation, like it's low risk.
Oh, absolutely.
Worst case scenario, like you could probably sell the speakers as vintage Fender guitar speakers and get most of your money back.
I was looking at like you could probably sell those knobs for $75.
Oh yeah, those are some
really
cool
classy
looking
looking aluminum knobs.
So anyway, if you ever see a solid state, there's a solid state Vibralex. I think there's a solid state Twin and a solid state Deluxe as well.
Yeah, I mean the demo that you found online was like a cell phone quality video.
Yeah,
but it sounded like a decent guitar amp to me, even through the cell phone quality of the recording. These failed massively when they came out, and they were a joke. But you think about 1969, like a big, clean, solid state amp would not have been popular.
Right.
Like, what if this is a great like pedal platform amp now, or what if it's a great like Doomy amp? You throw fuzz at it and it's just super heavy and crisp, or something like that. Like it's not going to sound. When this amp came out, people wanted to sound like Hendrix. And this a big clean solid state's not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I wonder if these things are actually pretty decent. If I ran into this for $75 locally, I would be owning it right now.
Yep.
For sure. Even just for the look of it, I think it's a really cool look. You and I are, neither of us are afraid of solid state. Mm-hmm. So who knows? What if it sounds great? It sounded pretty cool in that demo.
Yeah. It did.
You have anything else to say about it?
No.
Are you ready to call it a night, Steve?
I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, it's been a tough week. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. More episodes to come, obviously.
Yeah,
I don't know why I even said that.
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Sinusoid.com. If you're looking for a custom length cable or just something that an instrument cable that is going to last you
for 100 years.
For 100 years. Check out Sinusoid.com. Also like to thank our sponsor, Keeley Electronics. You can check them out at robertkeeley.com. We just put out a demo of the Compressor Plus from them, which also just had its price reduced down to $130. It's a fantastic compressor pedal.
For $130, that's like a market disrupting price for a boutique compressor.
Go check that thing out on our YouTube channel. If I don't forget, I'll post a link to it, but I'll probably forget. And thanks to our sponsor, Walrus Audio, who has supported us for a really long time.
Yeah.
Supported our demo efforts, and we're super appreciative. We just got to do their Iron Horse version 2, and it's a ton of fun. LM308 style distortion pedal. That's got it upgraded everything. We talked about at the beginning. You don't need to hear it all again. You know what's upgraded.
Yeah. So they're going to be sending me their delay too.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward to that.
I try not to believe that anything is going to happen until it shows up on my doorstep.
Right.
But I believe that they'll send it to us. It's the ARP 87.
I lost my Walrus hat. We should see if they can throw in a. We should see if they can throw in a hat for me.
I'll ask them for you. I think they got new hats in recently, or I'm going to NAMM soon. I'll see if I can pick one up.
Your job at NAMM is just to find hats for me.
I've been wearing my Walrus hat lately, like going to the beach and stuff. It's a good hat.
Yeah,
I wore it at the county fair recently.
I had it, and I think I left it at church, and things disappeared.
Oh, it's gone.
Probably some homeless dude in downtown San Diego wearing a Walrus Audio hat right now.
I was wearing mine walking around the county fair, like I said. I kept thinking I wonder if someone's going to see me and stop me and be like, oh, cool Walrus. It didn't happen.
Dude, that hat drove the kids I work with crazy because why are you? What's up with that walrus?
Why do you love walruses?
Yeah, walruses are weird. They got them tusks.
All right, you want to talk about the song, Steve?
Yeah, this week's song was sent to us by Morgan Vanderhart. He's in a band called Vitamin K. The song is called Stranger, so check it out. Again, there will be a link in the show notes where you can find more of their music. If you want to send music to us, 60cyclehumcast@gmail.com, MP3 M4A, WAV.
Wow.
Any of those formats are perfect. Or, if you don't want to, or if you want to, like, you can send us a Dropbox link, but it needs to be one of those formats.
Just no Windows specific media format.
Basically, if it's a Windows media file, WMV, or
just
WMA,
throw it in the trash, because that's what we're going to do.
It's not going to work because Ryan is a Mac user.
I'm a Mac boy.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Maybe I've been trying to put by.